Okay, I'll begin by transmitting the thoughts of our African new friends. So, on this subject of paying attention to the personal life that Duane often cautions against, in favor of seeing the whole of life. So the African new friends are somehow perplexed, and I can say I understand their concerns. More than 90% of African countries haven't anything like what we can say a welfare system, like in the U.S., where those genuinely without jobs and the lazy get support from. In Africa, you must be your own master or die. So the communal way of life doesn't hold any longer because what we can say is the exigencies of modern life. People have become more of individuals, and so have to take care of themselves and their immediate family. And that's why we see the personal life is uppermost in people's minds, how they will survive. It's survival is uppermost in people's mind, and especially material survival. That's what makes life possible on this life level. That is without being materialistic at all. Just the basic day-to-day survival needs, and living a life of their own. They ask whether life should not be seen in its entirety, with one's feet on the ground. And they say if life is not seen in its entirety, then perhaps the new presentation is just being literal and not practical. Some are even beginning to ask if the new presentation will ever find a home in Africa if their real struggles are not really recognized for what they are, because they have to fend for themselves. They have to do everything to survive. So what do you say about this, about their concerns, Duane?
Okay, Charles. Well, again, going over this, going back 2 years ago, this is what the projects were about. And, the idea here, especially in Africa, again, every place is different. this part of the world, that part of the world, whatever. You know, old people want to be young, etc. So you have all these ideas, and really, it's about the intent. So the new presentation is just that. It's a presentation. It's not about uh, providing the personal part of people's lives. In other words, it goes off the individual's intent. You know, you look at it like, you were doing what you were doing before this was available. Now you decide within yourself your intent, you might say your direction. Okay, so the new presentation is just that, but the reality is with your real awareness. That's where everything is. The personal self, yes, I have a personal self here. It must survive. This is what we work off of. But if we're to just do what we've done for lifetimes, then the end result is the same. That's all. And so this is where you have an imagination. In this world, for the most part, because of how the world is controlled, the imagination has been put aside. It's all about literal things. And I see that too. And so for the most part, what I'm presenting is taken literally and not really seen for what it is. So it becomes more like literal questions. Why this? Why not this? And why that? Whatever. And, again, here are the real guides, and people want them to live their life for them. Well, that personal life is each individual's part. Okay, they need the personal life. But it's also about the intent of the individual to recognize their intent. So as people keep questioning things with what's already available, we have all the books, the courses, what we're talking about, so much like never before, so well defined. And so if the individual doesn't take the time to recognize their own intent, then they're missing it, with this reality, to take the time to see it. And then, yes, there's no guarantee that the personal side or the earth here, which is getting worse, is going to be okay. That's not it. There's no magic wand here taking place. Things are what they are. We have to deal with it too. Just like the California fires and all that. These were from lasers, and those people in their homes were destroyed. They can do that everywhere, which they probably will. They do these things all the time, and got 5 and 6G coming. That's going to fry people. So again, this is the world today. And so you just do the best you can. So it's not about, the new presentation is just that. You have the knowledge to know how to better study this true reality. That's the whole idea. And how each individual does that, that's up to them. And it's not about Rebazar and the boys and the guides and all that. No, they're just guides. They're like your parents. So, you were raised, all these people in Africa, we'll just use Africa right now, they were raised by their parents. Did they look to their parents to live their lives? No. They have to creatively figure out what to do. And this is where I've suggested, and yeah, it can be hell and high water, and yeah, the government doesn't like you to get together or whatever. There's things here that are like that too. They're all over, because this is how it is. You just do the best you can, or you creatively figure it out. You have to creatively figure it out your own way. So it has nothing to do with the new presentation, because that's just the information and knowledge for the individual to proceed, making the new connection with the new you. Fortunately, that's here for people, utilizing that, but to recognize your intent and to really learn to see this. So the physical situations, yes, they're from others and they're from ourselves. We've made choices. We made choices to come here. Everybody came here for one reason, you might say, and that is to wake up. That's why we came here. And so now we're here, and the place is not what we thought it would be. Well, this is how it is, because we've got to deal with everybody. This is just how real it is. All these little pretty words and cliches and, let's make heaven on earth and all these things. It all sounds good, doesn't it? And people have bought these ideas for the longest time. And sometimes there are good times. But the earth is what it is every single moment. I get up here every day back in this personal self. I don't really like how the world is. I can't change the world because there's free will. So I have to deal with it too every single day. Yeah. And there are a lot of things that I would like to see done, but, there's a lot of opposition here all the time that's just saying, no, you're not to do that. We're not going to let you do that, etc. And it's the same all over the world. So what do you do? Do you sit and complain and ask questions or whatever, or do you try to figure something out? Again, I look at Africa. If I were there, I would go around and just, create a silent community, you might say. That's an idea, etc. And see who would agree just to get together to so that people are, mentally and emotionally okay, and just like communities or tribes, contribute to each other, support each other in some way. If it's families getting together, during World War II, Ava's parents in their house, they had like 25 families living in the house. This is what it was like during World War II when everything was being bombed and ruined, when people were being shot at all day long. And so they had up to 25 families, Ava told me, living in their house. This is what they did. Just for me to survive here and pay the rent, because I have the projects going, but at the same time, Val and Kelsey and them have moved in, help support the situation here. We got together, and so we're doing something. And so again, this is just how it is. I'm not like Harry in the corporation, keeping people dumbed down and just sucking the money from them so they can have their own castle and everything looking good like the Vatican. I mean, this is the very real world. I have to deal with it too. When I was a contractor, I did very well. And, there are many people in Africa, like Miriam and whatever, that have done very well, but the outer situations are changing all the time. And so, it's time to look at it differently, not just, just want things and hope and look to the past, how it was or whatever. This is how it is. And they're destroying the environment here too. They're destroying it everywhere. This is the whole deal. It's wake up time to figure it out. But in the meantime, instead of questioning the situations and whatever, and looking to the new presentation, it's like, well, gee, it's not working because I don't have a good lifestyle. It has nothing to do with that. I would say that anybody that has touched this in any way is very fortunate to have the knowledge and the real connection, the new you to the real guides. The real side starts working accordingly because you're starting to put your attention there. And the more intent you have with recognizing the all is and the real universes, the more real that becomes. But that's no guarantee that the physical world here is all of a sudden going to become heavenly. This world is what it is. And people keep deciding to destroy it and agree to it and even the people that want a good lifestyle here, they keep agreeing to it. Again, most people go out there and drive their cars every day as an example. They go to their 9-to-5 job. All the 9-to-5 jobs in the world all the jobs in the world are helping to destroy this planet. They're not creating a better benefit. The business world was created to control people, the monetary system, etc. This stuff didn't exist, just 200-300 years ago here, even in what we call the United States, with the Indians and the natural people that were here, the indigenous people. They didn't do any of this stuff. They didn't have agencies and governments and standing armies and whatever. But this is what it is today. And so this is it. But it has nothing to do with the new presentation. It's just that's providing something And again, it would be like the children that are now grown up looking to their parents and saying, you know, why don't you do something about my life? No, you have to figure it out, Charles. You and each person does. Again, I've recommended this for years. And so it's taken off a little bit now. The group that Marion had, people decided to go their own ways. Well, getting that back together is going to be tough. So yeah, it takes a lot of effort. It took me a lot to figure this out, to bring this forward. And most people take it for granted. You have no idea what it's taken me to bring this forward and figure this out and to create everything that I have, from the new school, the university, the Vessel Project, the Worldwide Educators, everything else. And all these years with Ava, and just, continually supporting this for people, being here, etc., and still being questioned about what is being presented, etc. Again, look at the real side of it, and this is where, it's like a student in school comes to the teacher, and it's like, well, why don't I get good grades, and why aren't I passing this year and going on to the next grade? Well, did you do your homework? Did you take the time to study? Yes, people have to survive here. I get it. So get together in some way and make it easier. I don't have an answer for that. That's a person's personal life. And that is something, the guidance is there to, subtly show people how to do things. But again, you must do it. The experience I had in 2001, where I was shown that I would be the greatest architect ever, etc., in this real side experience. Well, yeah, that doesn't mean it just happens. I had to figure it out. I had to do it. And here we are. I am doing it the best I can with all the resistance in the world, but I had to figure all that out. I couldn't ask anybody. It's like, well, how do I do this? What do I do? No, I had to figure this out. It took a lot of years. It took a lot of suffering and agony and just a whole lot of things, because the intent was still there, but figuring it out in the physical sense to get it this far, to get people to agree to just see something that's a benefit for them, this is really a toughie. Again, that's why there's very few here, very few people here. So yes, Charles, realistically, you and Miriam have been given Africa. That's very real. And that part is up to you, how you're going to see that to assist these people. And so, yes, I'm there too, and all the guides, etc. Yeah, but they got to, it's the hard times now, and it's just going to get harder, because this is what the world controllers want. This is a slave camp. The whole earth is a slave camp. Human farming. It has always been, and people are waking up to that. And you can moan and groan or whatever, but you got to be a little bit clever and creative, and you got to figure something out, or it's going to be whatever it is. They can shut off the electricity in the whole world, the internet and everything. We're fortunate we still have Skype. So the real side is there. That's the best you can do. The physical, yeah, I know it's a toughie. I feel the weight of it, the drag. I would like to do a lot more, but I've tried. And I don't stop. I have financial means coming about, but at the same time, I got great resistance in this world because they know everything I'm doing. And so again, yes, we're all very limited and encumbered here, but get these people together, focus on that. We have Skypes almost every day. I have meetings every every single night with Claudie, and what's going on with the Orions and what's taking place. There's a whole bigger picture here. I'm focused on this every single day, all the time, plus with Ava, 6 to 8 hours a day. This is what I do every day, Charles. Every single day for you and everybody. So, I don't think Harry's doing that, or the president, or the Pope, or anybody else, because they're just planning their own demise. I would say I'm the only one doing that for everyone. So again, people got to learn to pay attention or they don't. But it's all about that intent and figuring it out in the physical. Be creative. I've said this for years, and so here it is. It's still here, isn't it?